If I look a little bit shiny, I just use body butter as face lotion, so don't mind it. But anyways, let's talk about another one of Toronto's cold cases. You know, my favorite thing to do. I love doing it. I'm obsessed with Toronto's police cold cases, which it's kind of sad when you think about it, you know, because there's so many unsolved cases. But I ran across one, you know, the unaliving of Patrick Santos. And what's even more ridiculous is that I have to censor my words on YouTube by saying unaliving. But anyways, this crime happened on September 17th of 2006. It was about 7:20 in the morning, and Patrick Santos' father came out. I don't think I've ever run across his name. But anyways, Patrick's father came out and found his body on the backyard patio of his house. And I don't even want to imagine what that would feel like. But he obviously called police. He had tried to resuscitate him, you know, when he first found him, but he was already passed. So police came, they started their investigation, and Patrick his hands and feet were bound, and he had tape over his face, and he was jabbed 4 times. You guys know what I mean by jabbed, because I can't say the word. But the jabbing wasn't the cause of his unaliving. It was suffocation from the tape around his face. Whether or not that was an accident or that was done intentionally, like to suffocate him, police aren't clear.
Duct tape wrapped around his head, covering his mouth, his nose, and his eyes. He attempted to revive Patrick, but unfortunately Patrick was deceased at the time. He'd also been stabbed 4 times, but the actual cause of death was asphyxiation. We believe that someone was laying in wait for him at his house when he got there, and for whatever reason, they attacked him. Whether they meant to kill him or whether they meant to scare him, we're not sure, but unfortunately it ended up in a homicide.
But the last communication that anyone ever had with him was at 4:30 that morning. He had gone out clubbing previously, you know, like the night before, so September 16th, downtown Toronto. He went to a club called Steam and a club called Afterlife. Never heard about them, but I'm not a partier. And at about 4:30, well, some publications say 4:30, some say 4:45, so we'll settle, it was somewhere in between there. He had spoken to his girlfriend, telling her, you know, I'm on my way home. And he made it home, but police thought, you know, or police think that the perpetrators were waiting outside for him. How did they know where, you know, at what specific time he was coming back? Were they following him downtown all night, or did they stay at his house for a few hours waiting on him? Again, that's not clear because police has no suspects. They have the DNA, though. They have the DNA. They believe that it's a male with mixed race, so mixed with black and white. And he probably had like brown eyes and dark hair.
Detectives decided to try a new technique called forensic phenotype testing.
In that sort of testing, the sequences of DNA target specific or correlated to specific physical features like hair color or eye color, or they may also speak to the ancestry, the biogeographical ancestry of the donor.
The return on this particular case was a high probability that the offender was of mixed race, being black and white, and would have had likely brown eyes and black hair.
But that's all that they could determine from the you know, genetics. But they have no one to test it against. So that's why the case is still unsolved. Now, Patrick was an apprentice mechanic in Mississauga, but after his unaliving, police found out that he was also part of a debit card, fraud ring.
Witness interviews have also established that the deceased was involved in an unsophisticated criminal enterprise involving debit cards with a number of other individuals. It appears that the deceased family were oblivious to these activities.
And his family said they didn't know about it, which in a lot of cases, that's what it is. We don't know what our kids are doing 100% 24 hours a day. So, and he was 21. He was 21. So they found that out later. So did that have a part in his unaliving? Possibly, but we don't know. And it's crazy. They always say there's no honor among thieves, right? I think that's how the saying goes. So if he was involved in this ring, did he do something to cross them? Did he keep more than he should have or something? Did they feel like he was going to come forward to the authorities? Like, we don't know. There are a bunch of theories out there. One of them is maybe he got into a disagreement with somebody downtown and they followed him home, but that's not very likely. How many of you have that much time to be invested or that petty? If that was true, they didn't attack him downtown. They followed him all the way to Scarborough because it was on a street called Bridlington, I think, which is in the Bellamy and Ellesmere area of Scarborough. And another theory is because, of what he was doing. So maybe it was something involved with that. Or maybe it was someone trying to rob the house. We don't know. But if someone's trying to rob, are they going to go through all of that? It's either would have just knocked him down or something, get into the house, or maybe get scared off. I don't think they would invest that much time to bound his hands and foot and then... But who am I to... I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not in that lifestyle, so I don't know what people would do. But that doesn't sound plausible, But again, as I said, I could be wrong. I'm going to attach a couple of the, news clips throughout the years and his mom and his stepdad talking about, his loss. And, the case has been unsolved for all these years, 2006 and 2022. It's a long time. Let me look at my notes. And of course, I don't know what I did with my notes because I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything or forgetting something. So yeah, I think I've got it. I think I've got it all right. He was beaten, if I hadn't said that before. So he was beaten, suffocated by the tape around his neck or his face, his nose, blocking off his, he couldn't breathe properly. And his feet and hands were bound. And the suspect police are looking for, that they have the DNA for, believe that he could possibly be between 30 and 40 years old now. So they're asking if you got the conscience all of a sudden, which I doubt that's going to happen. But if a family member of his, no matter how far in between, if a family member of his do one of those DNA and me tests and authorize, give them permission to make their stuff public or whatever, he can possibly be caught if he's still alive. I don't know. But anyways, here is the clip of his mom and stepdad talking about it.
It may have happened over a decade ago, but for Patrick Santos' family, it was just like yesterday. The 21-year-old was murdered, his body left in his dad's backyard. Tonight, in our ongoing cold case series, we reopen the file on this mystery and a new clue that could crack this case wide open. This is 21-year-old Patrick Santos. He was found dead on September 17th, 2006, in his father's own backyard. Police are still on the lookout for the person or people responsible. Patrick Santos was the type of guy who had lots of friends.
Funny. He's a real cheesy little grin that just everyone knew he was thinking of something. He was kind of quiet, but he was loyal,
He would hang out at clubs in the entertainment district till dawn. On September 17th, 2006, after a night at a downtown club, Patrick decided it was time to head home. He called his girlfriend around 4 a.m. and said he was heading to his dad's house in Scarborough. Patrick would never make it into bed.
I was working on a Sunday, and I got a call from my younger son, and he said, he just shouted out, "Patrick's dead."
A man found his own 22-year-old son's body in the backyard.
I thought, like they were playing a game or something. It just didn't register properly, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Then he told me again. So I thought he was, it took me maybe a minute to actually understand or comprehend that's what he really meant.
My entire body is like, I felt like someone stabbed me on the back. That's the feeling. It's like almost like my life is finished. That was the feeling.
Bound, beaten, and suffocated. It was his biological father who would find Patrick's body on the doorstep of his own backyard early the next morning.
That's terrible. That's traumatic on any event to have it happen at your own house in that way and to be left that way. I think that heightens that level of disturbance.
But as the investigation went on, family would find out some troubling details about a secret life Patrick was keeping from them.
He also was dabbling in skimming and that sort of thing, using other people's debit cards and PIN numbers and obtaining cash in that fashion. And that was being done with some other associates of his as well.
Patrick have done something that we don't know. He was probably running away from these bad people. I think that's what it is.
There's no doubt that he knew who these people were and that these people were targeting him for a specific reason. Was it for money? Was it for something else? That is only speculation.
Patrick's family would spend the next several years looking for answers. His mom even put up signs taking the search into her own hands. Patrick's family was hitting a wall, and so were police. Detectives decided to try a new technique called forensic phenotype testing.
In that sort of testing, the sequences of DNA target specific or correlated to specific physical features, like hair color or eye color, or they may also speak to the ancestry, the biogeographical ancestry of the donor.
The return on this particular case was a high probability that the offender was of mixed race, being black and white, and would have had likely brown eyes and black hair.
More than a decade later, police say there is no doubt someone out there knows something.
I'm hoping that their conscience will get the better of them, or they'll have kids of their own. It's been a while, so maybe if they were younger, maybe they're older now. Maybe they can start to understand what it would feel like. They could come forward.
Unlike some of the other cases that you'd featured, this one, clearly there's a couple of people out there, more than one, who know what happened.
And police think that there was a group that night. It wasn't just one person who killed Patrick Santos. There was some people with him. So again, now we have these clues. We know that it's somebody of mixed race, that's black and white. We also know that he was involved in some sort of debit skimming operation, unsophisticated crime. So putting those together, and anybody who knew Patrick Santos and knows of somebody with that ethnicity, or just, have any clue, please call police. They're really looking for answers on this case, and this family wants these answers.